Welcome to Willow Healing Matters, the podcast. We are so excited to have you joining us on this journey where we explore different ways to empower your soul, whether it's healing in your kitchen or all the way up in the corporate world. Come with us as we look into different ways to heal your mind, body, and soul. My virtual obsession, my romantic thriller, is now available on Amazon and other online retailers. This book explores the intersection of loneliness, love, and how chasing perfection through technology can lead to fantasy and reality colliding. My virtual obsession out now.
Hey everyone, it's Crestani with another episode of Willow Healing Matters, and today I'm joined by the beautiful Michele Lundstrom. So she is an intuitive shamanic channel, and she is also an intuitive reader at Luminous Ignus, a past life reader, an Akashic Records reader, a conscious channel, a shamanic practitioner, empath coach, advanced chakra practitioner, and Reiki master. Michele provides intuitive readings through your higher self, guides, Akashic Records, and subtle energy, like the chakras, to help identify and prioritize what your energy wants to bring to your awareness, as well as energetic imbalances and direct channeled healing energy to your chakras. Michele is able to answer your questions by providing readings, and even if you do not know what your question is. Your energy always knows. So a big welcome to the show, Michele.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
I love how you work with the energy, and I love how you work with others, because I work very similarly. There's always things coming to the surface, and just holding space often with people can be the best way, right? Rather than going in with the plan. Sometimes the best plan is no plan and let spirit take the way.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, when spirit leads and I leave room for whatever comes through to come through. It's so good.
So you have a very fascinating backstory as to how you have to come to where you are today. Do you feel like you want to share that with people listening?
Yeah, I can do that. I have the typical origin story in the beginning of being the weird child and all of that. And I've always been really intuitive. But several years ago, I was sitting in my office and a thunderstorm came out of absolutely nowhere in the middle of the day. And all of a sudden, this lightning bolt hit the transformer outside, and then a side flare came, melted the window, and came into my office and hit me in the back in 3 spots. And I was knocked unconscious. And according to my Fitbit, I didn't have a heartbeat for about 3 minutes. And I woke up to my little dog at the time, like sniffing my face and licking me and trying to get me conscious. And I felt so much energy in my body. And I kept seeing like this bright white. And I don't know if the bright white was me going to the other side or if the bright white was all the energy of the lightning that I was in, but I couldn't acclimate after very easily. I had to lay on the earth and let some of that energy begin to discharge. But what I found as I began to recover physically was that there was this intense amount of energy that was running through my body, and all of my intuition, all of those psychic abilities were now like times 10. So it became like I'd ask a random question in my head and suddenly I hear the answer coming in and I'm like, whoa, what's going on?
It was almost like I just got this image of it's like, hey, you need a charger. Let's give it to you the quickest way possible.
Yes, I got blasted, I got charged, I got jolted. Yeah, it was, but I feel like it was an initiation. So some people ask me, oh, is that some sort of punishment or, did you do something bad? And I'm like, that is so, like, my brain never actually would have gone there. But what I did find out from my guides, because of course I asked, I went to like a QHHT hypnosis session and I was exploring kind of why did this happen to me? What is going on? And what the guides told me was that it was an initiation. My higher self had it planned. The elementals were very precise in their delivery of the of the energy, and so this was an initiation to really activate me the rest of the way in a very sudden way, like a bolt of lightning.
I just heard she wasn't doing it quick enough for our liking, so we just had to hurry her along.
Yes, yes. Yes, that sounds exactly like my guides. Yes.
Find elementals are such a forgotten thing that a lot of people overlook of working with because, angels, and there's no disregard to angels. I'm just looking at mine. There's no disregard to them, but angels seem to have had the forefront for so long, and then spirit animals kind of have creeped in. But elementals seem to be forgotten, like the fae, elementals, crystals,
Mhm.
plant kingdom. Have you found since going through the lightning strike that the elementals have just come out to play so much more?
Oh my goodness. Yes. A lot of people look to the stars, and I've been guilty of that too, of like, let's look out and, wanting to talk to inner or extra dimensional beings. But a lot of what's happened since the lightning strike is really a deep awareness of the elementals. And I was at a retreat over the weekend and was channeling fairies and the mushroom kingdom. It was really fascinating what came through. But it's been, I talked to a leprechaun recently. Like it's things that may sound a little crazy, but to me it's very real. And it's stuff, the stuff that they're telling me is stuff that it wouldn't occur to me, which is part of what gives me evidence, like, this isn't my imagination, but so what if it is, you know?
Just had this conversation with a friend yesterday because I interviewed a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago now, someone, and she teaches people how to take photos of fairies and capture them on film. And I was so fascinated by it. And I was like, I wonder if I can do that. And I did, Michelle. I caught a fairy on, but at the same time, when I show people who believe, they see straight away. They're like, oh my gosh, there's
Uh-huh.
no doubt that's a fairy. And even
Yes.
on another podcast I'm on, which I've just started, we were talking about this and I sent him the video and he goes, I always look from a skeptic's eyes. He goes, so at first he's like, oh, you can say it's the refraction of the camera, right? And then he's like,
Uh-huh.
but he goes, but then you can't explain the movement when the camera's not moving. And I was like, I know. And then when you zoom in on a big screen, you can actually see her clothing. She kind of looks like a Tinkerbell. You can see her green dress and the glowing. And then my son drew her, like all these things.
Mhm.
Whereas when I showed my parents, who are a bit more skeptical, my mum's like, you could see her going, oh, it's a fairy. But then she had to catch herself and go, oh, it's something. And my dad's sitting there going, but the thing I've learned that if you don't want to believe, it's not going to happen. You're not going to believe it. Like you have to be open to that. And like you said, so what if you're talking to a leprechaun? I haven't met leprechauns yet. Are they very cheeky energy? I feel that they would be.
They're still very high vibrational, but their humor is a little bit different than ours, and I think they're trying to get to know us and understand us better, and that's one of the reasons why they are around more in different areas of the world than maybe they were traditionally known to be.
Which makes sense. So this is the question coming through. So when you were communicating with the Mushroom Kingdom, what was something really
Mhm.
fascinating that you learned from that interaction?
One thing really fascinating is they were talking about their network. So I was talking to all kinds of mushrooms that were just in the area. There happened to be a fairy circle nearby, and so like I had both of them kind of online, but they were talking about their ability to communicate, their network, and their huge amount of information. Like the fungal kingdom, the fungi kingdom, however you want to say it, is far more advanced and intelligent than we know. Like it's mind blowing. And I can't even convey into language how absolutely intelligent these life forms are and how they've helped us. And we've lost connection with them. And they were talking about, just the amount of medicine that they carry, but they were also showing me, how they see it. I'm like, oh, all the psychedelic artwork now suddenly makes sense. It's how they see. Like they're taking us into their world. And I didn't realize that it was them bringing us into their realm when people take a psychedelic mushroom. But even medicinal mushrooms gives the fungal kingdom access to us, which like has so many mind-blowing thoughts for me as far as like how we could connect with them and befriend them in ways that maybe we're not yet.
Because they have it's my mycelium network. Is
The
that right?
mycelial network, yeah.
Yeah. which has always fascinated me. So one of my friends, he wrote a book about this for kids. And I was reading the book with my son and I was like, oh, wow, that would be such a powerful network. And it was when you said that I was
Yeah.
like, oh, it makes sense. This is where the universe gives you pieces of information, you put it together because mushrooms are off planet. They actually came
Hmm.
here and they chose to come here, and
Yeah.
they were never actually organic to earth. So it's amazing, like you said, that there's so much medicine in them. But even I was watching this thing that popped up on Instagram and there's this a type of mushroom that's adapted to eat plastic. And I was like, wow, they are constantly finding different levels to rebalance our planet and rebalance us depending how we choose to interact with them.
Yeah, they're very loving, they're very honest. And, I think one of the things they were talking about is if you take like a medicinal mushroom, like even lion's mane, reishi, to honor the mushroom when you consume it and ask it for its help. But once that's in you, you're now connected to the network. And that's the piece that I hadn't thought of. And they were talking about how they never die. There is no death and rebirth cycle for them. It's kind of, they mentioned it's like a cloud forming and then like wisping away, but the cloud didn't die. The water molecules, those elementals still continue to exist. And so they're much more like the elemental kingdom than they are kind of humans or mammals or fish in that they just were saying that they live forever and they just kind of pop up with their spores. And they did mention when they arrived here, and I was like, what does that mean? So I didn't know that. So thank you for that piece of information because that kind of confirms one of the things they were talking about and how they access different people and relationships to move around the planet as well. And that was really fascinating to me. One of the girls that was there, they were talking about how in a past life she had moved them and worked in collaboration to get them to different areas of the planet.
I love that that person comes into your field, right? Because you're like, I'm learning about this now. And it's really funny where I learned that piece of information was off Clarkson's farm. Weirdly,
Nice.
this is the thing. If you're meant to find information, it will find its way to you no matter which way
Yes.
you want it to. And even, working with, I want to say, beings outside the veils that we used to see. That's how I think I want to phrase that. They, you know, you'll get evidence from other people to help put it together. Like me sharing that bit with you. It's like, oh, that makes sense now. And even, when I'm channeling through like parallel lives or off world or whoever, I will get some sort of proof later on. And I don't, but in the moment, like you said, even when you got struck by lightning, you didn't see it as a punishment. You're like, hey, wow, why did they choose to do this to me? Like this is amazing. What happened? And it's when you ask those bigger questions and but you don't have an expectation to get the answer. It's just like, oh, okay, that makes sense
Mhm.
now. Here's the answer. It's coming through.
Yeah, it's truly fascinating, isn't it? When our mind is open to access different vibrations and stay out of fear, how much our world can be different.
Yeah, 100%. I love that you said that, stay out of fear, because, there's so much happening in the world at the moment. And it was funny. I was in a space at the very start of the year and the message that came through was you need to stay neutral. That's the aim of this year, to stay neutral and stay with what aligns with your truth. And then the events of the world started to unfold and I'm like, stay neutral. I understand now. Thank you so much. Because we can get so lost in our opinion or we can get so lost in how we expect things to go that we miss the present moment and we miss what's happening right in front of us.
Absolutely. It's really easy to get hooked into that. And we can, speaking of energy and vibration, if our minds go into and hook into that, then that's kind of what's affecting our energy. But if we're connecting in with the elemental kingdom or we're connecting into the earth or a higher vibration, then we can hold that in neutrality. We can hold that in curiosity. We can, just be curious, like, I wonder how that's all going to play out. It's just really interesting. But yet, if I look at my life today, I'm okay, regardless of the things that are going on that I might not agree with in the world.
Yeah, it was interesting. I read this thing that humans aren't meant to know as much about the world as we do, because it does interfere with our vibrations and it does interfere with our frequency. And exactly like you said, Michelle, it can pull you into the vibration of what's actually happening, and it stops you from doing what you need to do in this world. So I guess that's the biggest thing of like learning to discern. I got this message about a year ago and it said, don't run into the fire, let the fire come to you. Because if you're busy running into the fire, you're going to forget to protect yourself, right? So
Yes.
I was like, wow, that's such a beautiful analogy. Thank you. Whereas, the giver in me is like, but no, we have to help the other people. And they're like, but you can't help anybody if you're not okay. This is what it comes back
Yeah.
to.
Yeah, and the more that we work on ourselves, right, increase our vibration, right? I like to think of each of us as a little universe, right? As all the little parts of me, when I heal them and get them all into the fifth dimension, then I'll be in the rest of me can go, right? Fully, right? All the time. So the more we kind of keep looking inward, as well as like the things we don't like in the world, if we look at ourselves, right? So, I was really angry about just war on the planet. I got all caught up in the anger and the fear, and I went to a really dark place for like 2 or 3 days. And finally I was able to kind of come out of it. But what I did was I looked at myself and I'm like, where are there wars within me? Where are parts of me in conflict? Where are parts of me, fighting with myself? And that's on a much more micro level. And there's small little wars, but I started tending to the wars in me and the anger in me around that. And then I was able to kind of level out and pull away from all of that and go, okay, the only thing in the world that I can control is myself. And so if I just focus on my own healing, and if I don't like something external to me, I just go in and see where is that holding up a giant mirror for me that says, hey, Michelle, there's a little more shadow work to do.
Oh, Michelle, you just reflected my last few weeks straight back to me. Even the collective sadness. Like I was incredibly sad a few days ago, and I was just sad at the geoengineering. I was sad at the state of our food. I was sad at the state of the planet. I was sad that there was war. I was just grieving. And I was like, hey, exactly like you said, where am I? And I actually then started crying to me. Like I had to grieve myself as well. And I love how you frame that too. Often that reflection of what's really irritating us or triggering us or causing those big emotions is a chance to go inward and do those shadow work. And just when you think you've done all your shadows, there's more.
It's a lifelong journey, right? Yeah.
I used to say to my spiritual mentor, because we just dive into things. So if the shadow or a trigger or something, we run into it. And people are like, what? I was like, we don't want to come back and do this again. That's what we say to each other. We're like, nah,
Yes.
we're getting this done this incarnation. Thank you very much. I'm not dealing with this again. Thank you. Done.
Yes. I agree 100%. I'll be like, I'm going to sit down at the table with this feeling and we're going to hash it out.
Yep. And then if in case you've missed it, it will come back again just so you can get all the cobwebs.
Yes. The layers, right? The layer of the onion analogy.
Yeah, but I don't think in that analogy, the layers are you never get to the center.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
It's
a quantum onion.
The quantum onion. I love that. We'll call it the quantum onion. That's amazing. And with all the beautiful work that you do with others and allowing whatever energy needs to come through, has there been anything that you've gone, wow, that was just truly beyond what I even expected? I know I've had some of those clients and I'll go, wow,
My gosh, so often. I learned so much. I keep feeling like I need to write down these things because I feel like, how could I ever forget that? And then I forget that, right? Especially if it's like this big epiphany that like blows my mind. But so many times, like I see things either in like a past life regression or just like simple little things can blow my mind. A person was asking me the other day about someone in their home, and I couldn't read that person's energy through them, and I didn't have the person's permission to read them anyways. And I'm very big on, energy ethics and intuitive ethics. And So I asked if there were any like guardians in the home that wished to talk to me that could give me some insight that might be helpful to this person. And it was her plant that responded to me, like this house plant. And I described it to her and I told her kind of where it was. And she sent me a picture later, which blew my mind. I mean, I know this is real, but also like there's those moments, right, where it's like I didn't expect a plant in her home to be the one that could say, here's what's going on. And it was all very positive, and the plant really liked the person staying in the home. Like it was just lovely and very, very sweet. But yeah, I mean, just all of those things that come through just blow my mind. Like when I was talking to the fairies and the mushrooms, how, like I said earlier, the one woman had this past life, and the mushrooms knew that and remembered her frequency. And they mentioned a couple other people too, because it was like they knew the frequency. They're like, we have no idea what you like look like, but we know your frequency, we know your energy. And these things just blow my mind. And I think that's why when people are on psychedelics, if they look in the mirror, they look so weird, is because they don't know what we look like from, but only in their world. And so there's so many things that come up in readings that just teachings that don't occur to me, and things, like the mushrooms coming from an outer space. Like I didn't know that. And they mentioned that. And I was like, what is that? I didn't know. You validated it for me today. So it's all kind of coming full circle. And, dragons and the earth, the earth, we have this human ego that she needs us to help her. And I feel like there's all this energy around the light worker community to like help Mother Earth. She doesn't need our help. Like, if anything, like she gave the analogy when I was channeling her recently. She's like, it's much like a parent. So, a parent of a small child is going to really like when the child is cooperative and does what is asked of them. And when they do something nice, like they come and give you a hug and gratitude, it's quite lovely and quite enjoyable. But the mother, a good mother, healthy mother, doesn't need it, but she's going to enjoy that. So, learning that Mother Earth doesn't need our help, no matter how many podcasts I hear that on. And so that kind of tied in directly for me, because after the lightning strike, the amount of energy that was running through my hand, I kept thinking, I need to run this to the earth, which was true, but it was for the trees, it was for the grid, it was for other things.
Yes.
It wasn't because Mother Earth needed that energy. And I get a ton of pain in my arm if I don't run the energy. And so it's kind of like this channeled energy that if I don't run it, I'm in pain, which forces me to run it. But it's not because she needs it. Lightning can strike her so many times a day. Like she doesn't need lightning energy to run through me. But what it is I have a really good offering whenever I kind of go into the elemental world, or whenever I come and visit her, and the trees and the nature spirits around me can benefit from that energy. So that's why I often gift it to the earth, and if people are around, I'll gift it to them too.
That's so beautiful. And I love that you framed it that way, because I've always felt that way too. Like I know we're nature and we come from nature. And when we hurt nature, we're kind of hurting ourselves. But again, it's like that constant reflection, right? But I always
Yeah.
just think, I'm like, Mother Earth can just create a tsunami or a volcano, and, like like what,
Yeah.
or lightning strike in your
Or a
case,
lightning
or
strike.
a lightning
Yes.
strike. So when I go work with Pachamama, Mother Earth, Gaia, whatever term resonates for whoever's listening,
Hmm.
I go support her and go, okay, what do you need support with today? She's like, hey, I'd love some help on the grid. And exactly like you said, it's like a child going to their parent going, hey, mom, can I help you with something?
Hmm.
You're like, oh, of course you can. You want to help me cook, or
Yes.
you want to help me, clean the house. And it was amazing. This one, I went down because I often sit there and I repair the grid, and I help, restore, crystal grid above, and there's a heaven grid now as well. Anyway, all these things. But I was working on it, and all these other light workers showed up, and we were just like connecting hands and just putting this healing energy back in. And like you said, it was just appreciation for us for helping along, rather than an expectation that that's what we're meant to do. It was just,
Yes.
hey, I appreciate you coming in and helping me cook this meal. Thank you. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I love it. It's so, yeah, the earth is just incredible. Yeah, and another reading that comes to mind is this real estate agent asked me why houses start to decline so quickly when no one is living in them. And so I tuned into a tree that was sitting outside of this property that she was particularly concerned about. And the tree said everything returns to earth. So if no one's living there, it could be a chipmunk living in a log, and the log will not decompose as quickly because it is someone's home. And so when something isn't anyone's home and there's no one energetically being the steward of it and enjoying that space, nature begins to reclaim it. So it's really quite beautiful how nature is so much more intelligent than I think most of us give credit to.
Yeah, and I guess that plays on that, like, we are nature as well, right? So if we're living in the house, we're still embodying the energy, and people forget that a house has energy as well,
It does.
you know? And like you said, the plants and the trees and all those things. And I guess when you start to realize there is so much energy networks around you that you can tap
Mhm.
into, that you step into a whole different world and you don't feel, I guess that's when our ego really struggles and goes, oh, it's not just me. It's really not.
No, no, and there's so many networks to plug into and be a part of the collective. So, yeah, we don't have to get in the fear narrative version if we don't want to.
That's it. And we always have that choice, right? We can choose to get stuck in the fear and get sucked into that, or we can choose to step out of it.
Yeah, for sure.
And as we start to finish our time together, Michelle, I asked the guests that come on the show if you could heal or change something in the world, what would it be?
Think I would go back in time and I would where we kind of got off course as humans and disconnected from nature. Like I think that's the thing I would heal when we disconnected from natural medicines, when we disconnected from really being in tune with the rhythms of nature. I think it's so important to do that, but we can reconnect with it and we can find our way back to it. So that's the thing that if I got to be in charge, then it would. But of course, God's in charge of everything, not me. So
And everyone has their free will.
ish, yeah,
I love that. Ish.
ish. My higher self and I have arguments about that. That's why I say ish, because she chooses things for me, like, lightning bolts coming through my back. But also, I'm grateful for all of those things. So she kind of picks the hallway and I get to play in it.
Yeah. And I guess this would be a whole other podcast, but it's like where you have free will to make a decision, but at the same time, you have soul contracts and soul lessons that
Yes.
you signed up for when you incarnated on this planet. And that can be really hard to dance between, right? It's like there's no such thing as accidents or coincidences either.
No, there's not. Yes. So that's my ish.
I understand. And if people want to come and try and find you, Michelle, or connect with you or come work with you, where can they come find you?
Yes, I do everything in time increments because I just trust spirit of whatever is going to come through comes through. So it's 30, 60, 90 minutes. But my website is Luminous Ignus, Luminous Ignus, Ignus. Ignus means ignite in Latin. So that is why the lightning strike helped with the name of my business, and all my socials can be found there as well.
Beautiful. And I'll make sure to pop those details in the show notes for everyone trying to find you and who want to connect with you or just learn more about elementals or whatever it is that they feel to come and connect with you with, Michelle. So for
Yes.
everyone listening, if you enjoyed this episode, please feel free to like, share, and subscribe. And if you want to know more about Michelle, please go check out her website or connect with her on socials as well. And Michelle, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. And I love how connected you are with elementals. I don't get to talk about it with people enough.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Hey, beautiful souls. It is Catherine Crestani here, and I wanted to have a chat with you about a really amazing cacao that I drink to help me get in ceremony, to help me ground, but also just because it tastes freaking good. So, if you're curious and want to know about drinking something other than coffee or your standard tea, why not check out Creation Cacao? I love this with a bit of honey and cinnamon sprinkled in and just letting it brew and having that whole intention as you create this cup. So, if you're curious, if I want to know more, check out the link in the show notes and in the bio and enjoy your your cup of cacao.
Thank you for listening to Willow Healing Matters, the podcast. We have so much love and gratitude that you have taken the time out of your day to empower you on your healing journey. The views shared by the person being interviewed might not necessarily reflect that of the host and should be used at your own discernment. Trust what resonates for you and follow your heart and soul guidance. If you have any underlying medical conditions or mental health issues, please consult with your healthcare provider before pursuing any of the recommendations. Likewise, you can always contact the person being interviewed to find out more information. This can be found in the show notes. Remember to activate, align, heal, empower, and find love in everything that you do.